Knock knock, it's time to give up the bone tithe. Today we're looking at the pre-orders for the Ossiarch Bonereapers. These released for pre-order on February 21st, 2026, and will be fully released on March 7th. So we will start off by looking at the battle tome here. It's a battle tome. It has all the rules you need to play the army. Should have a small painting guide. How extensive that is seems to vary. It has all the rules for your army and units, as well as some lore. There is also a gamer edition, which is a limited run, only available while stocks last, but it's a smaller paperback version, comes with cards for the models. I don't like this personally, but if you do like it, it is limited, so if you do want it, you should order it. Because I don't believe they send these to stores, although I could be wrong on that. I find it easier to just have the full book, personally, than the gamer edition. For the first model they've given us quite a few. Here they are expanding the Ossiarch Bonereaper range quite extensively, I think, for a non-launch edition launch box. So the first model we have is the Liege Cavalos on War Chariot, which I think looks great. It is a multi-part build. You can also build a generic War Chariot model, which has 2 crew instead of the hero, and I'll scroll back to that in a moment. I do like that they're using this to round out the army. I think chariots fit the theme of the Ossiarch Bonereapers really well. I like the horses. I like them, and the Death Riders as well. But it does fit with that Greek sort of Bronze Age army theme pretty well. Chariots were pretty popular in that time period, though how they were used, of course, depends on when exactly in the Bronze Age, since it's pretty large. There may be some additional weapons to this, and we're just not being shown them in the pictures. It may also just be, if you build the Liege Cavalos and War Chariot, you get the one pose with the one weapon. So if you ever build 2 of them, they will be identical. It's hard to say. I think you could easily kit bash this with some other parts. I would be surprised if the model on here is not the same size as one of the Mortec Guard, or even the Liege Mortec, which we'll see in a moment, but it's not clear as of yet if this will have very many options. This version, the War Chariot, does have options, so my thought is maybe that guy is a little bigger, actually. Sorry. This guy might be a little bigger. It's hard to say because his hat is so tall and the back is a little different. It's one of those things we'll have to see when the kit's available. Without, seeing the sprue, it's hard to say for sure. The War Chariot is the generic non-hero version and does have a choice of weapon. Up next, we have the Liege Mortec. I will say I am not thrilled with another foot hero, and I will probably repeat that momentarily, but he does look good. I will say it does look good. It looks like it's a Mortec Guard. It's not the same thing like we had with the Custodes hero, one of the older ones, where it has a completely different style shield than the rest of the army. I mean, it at least from the photos we have here, which are admittedly not awesome in terms of what they show in each of these different poses, it does look like it still fits the theme. I particularly like both the helmet options. I think I like this one a little bit better, though it's hard to say if that's just because this is like a more upward angle and this one's a downward angle photo. This might be about the same, but I do like those helmets. Not as fond of unhelmeted heads personally. The axe here is certainly not helping. It does seem to be held weird in this photo, although it's hard to say because it is GW and they are somehow very bad at photographing their miniatures. Typically, I mean, like, stuff will look terrible in photos and be perfectly fine in real life. Hard to say. This does look a little strange though with the angle. Something about this hand in the axe just doesn't seem to mesh. The spear looks much better. Sword looks better. These 2 are options for the Mortec Guard kit anyway, so those 2 are great. Axe would make it stand out a little bit more. Probably all the same weapon profile. Could be wrong. Up next, we have the Mortec Triaxes. I like these. I've been saying we're going to get archers for the Bonereapers ever since their old Underworlds kit came out, where it had one Mortec Guard-sized guy with a bow. I like that they aren't just Mortec Guard, that they are sort of this strange thing here, where they've got like this multi-eye section. They look great. I like the braziers. Those are cool. You do get 20 in a box, which is really nice. I was fully expecting that you would get 10 to a box if they were a unit of 10 or even 5, but it does look like they are a unit of 10 because you can build 2 different champions, which normally means there's 10, and then you get 4 of these Balefire braziers to these green things here. which look cool. I like them. I think they fit the Bone Reapers where they're not just humans, but made out of bone, but sort of optimized for archers and that sort of thing. I think they look good. I am tempted to pick up a box of these. I probably will hold off and wait since I'm not playing Bone Reapers at the moment. I'm focusing still on Hellsmiths, but these are pretty good, so we will see. So for the next unit we're getting Mortis Reapers. I think these are fantastic. I did not have Bone Ninjas on my list for things we were getting, but here we are. I think they look great. I like that they have sort of ninja aesthetic for a lot of these, and then you have this very almost Egyptian aesthetic here with the Egyptian beard and then sickles for the Kopeshes. So I really like these. I realize they're a little silly, but I think they look great. I'm really liking these. It does look like they have an optional dual wield or smoke brazier, smoke grenade sort of thing. They only show them with the smoke here except for the leader, so I'm not sure what that will look like, but I imagine it will look pretty good. The smoke, depending on how it's attached, this one looks like it attaches to the base, but this one might billow out. Might be a little difficult to put on there, but we'll have to see when we actually build them. But I think they look great. All right, up next we have the Mortison Soul Reaper for some reason, which is an older model because I have one of these that I haven't built yet, and it exists in the old codex as a separate model. So I don't know why it's here. Maybe it's a re-release? I am kind of confused. Maybe it was a limited model. I don't remember. But it existed in the previous edition's codex. So that's odd. It's not really new, in my opinion, then. I was kind of wondering if I had sort of imagined that this model existed because it's sort of, very death and very Bone Reaper. So kind of quintessential, like if you were going to have one model be like the foot heroes, this one worked pretty well. So I don't know. I don't know why it's listed for pre-order. I could have sworn this was already available. Maybe, I swear I have this as a model. Like I could swear I own this. It's a little strange that it's in here for the pre-orders. It is another foot hero. It's not exactly a new foot hero. It is, what did they have? Bone Shaper, Soul Reaper, Soul Mason, then Vokmortian. So it is, I guess, one of three, at least from the old codex. So I'm not entirely sure why it's listed here as a pre-order, but it's here. So if you want it, then pick it up. So up next we have the Spearhead, the Cavalos Vanguard, which is 10 Cavalos Death Riders, which are the cavalry. They look pretty cool, I think. Though I think they definitely missed an opportunity to make them centaurs, like they have this guy here on the bottom right. But it's a nice Cavalos box. This reminds me of one of their old Regiments of Renown, which was the Liege Cavalos, which comes in this box as well, and then 10 Death Riders, plus a Warcry team. The Warcry team's an odd inclusion, I think. But I noticed they were doing that with one of the Nurgle boxes as well, I believe, at least. So maybe they're just trying to bring them into the main game. The Cavalos Death Riders are great. Great kit. Liege Cavalos is great. So I think it's a solid box. I don't know how it will stack up in the Spearhead game. That will depend on how they play. But I think it's a decent entry into the army. They also have a Regiment of Renown, Heralds of the Bone Tithe, which is 3 in Mortis Guard. These large ones, which are also a dual build kit with the Necropolis Stalkers. 10 Mortek Guard, which are your standard baseline troops. And then Vokmortian, who is your named hero. He's pretty cool. He has a unique spell, or he used to, but I never managed to make it work except for the first game I played him with, as people kind of went like, oh, that guy has that spell, let's not do that. If you do already own Vokmortian, this is probably not as useful to you. You do only get half a box of Mortek Guard, though you can run them in units of 10, and 3 Immortus Guard and Necropolis Stalkers are perfectly fine. So, I mean, it's a good addition to your army, particularly if you don't own Vokmortian. There are also War Scroll cards and dice available. I do not use either of these. I think the dice are generally too expensive for novelty dice, and I don't use the cards. I just prefer the book. So, they are here only while stocks last. There are also some Warhammer Age of Sigmar terrain sets available. You have this awesome, like, floating waterfall piece, which looks really good, would pair really well with if you have the Lumineth terrain already and you use the luminous terrain, this I think would go really well. It's another floating thing with waterfalls. Looks nice, has a little ruin attached to it. You also have this nice orb section, which I believe came from the Dominion box set or sometime around the Dominion box set. It might have been in a... Is this from Dominion? I believe this was in one of the launch boxes. I want to say it was Dominion. I don't think it was Skaven Tide, but I could be wrong on that. I am not hugely into the terrain. This is from Dominion, that's for sure. This is also from Dominion. That was the, or I should say 3rd edition. Maybe it wasn't in the Dominion box. I could have sworn it was, though. But maybe I'm misremembering. But this was from 3rd edition terrain, because it's very similar to the 4th edition terrain, just without the Skaven-y bits. And then you get the statue, which is pretty cool. I will mention that you will probably break off the spear tip here if you do pick this up, at least at some point, because it sticks out really far and is very thin, and you will eventually smack your hand into it. Don't ask how I know this. And then you also have some bones here. These, I believe, were from the Krondspine set, but I could be wrong on that. They remind me of that pretty closely. Up next, we have Thanatech's Tithe. I don't really play Underworlds anymore, but these look pretty cool. I like the little coffin guys with 2 heads. I think that's kind of funny. You get 2 Reapers, it looks like, in it, and then a new hero. This will probably be released at some point as a standalone hero. Maybe not, or at least sort of be an influence for a new hero. That seems to be what they do with them, is this will get rolled into the main game as a unit. Although I don't know if they're still doing that. They did do that originally, but I don't know if that's still the case. If you play Underworlds, this might, and this team looks good to you, then go for it by all means. I might pick this up. I do like these models. I really like the coffin guys, but I will leave that for now. This set does not come with a deck, which is odd because you do have to have decks for it. They recommend a flex deck, but they are launching a take and hold deck, which is odd. I would have launched a flex deck with this, but I don't know. If you play Underworlds, you might want this. I couldn't tell you, but it is available. So that's all for this week. Let me know if you're picking up any of these. Are you looking forward to any of the models in particular? Are you looking forward to the terrain? Do you not care about Bone Reapers? Let me know in the comments down below. And that's all I've got for this week. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.